my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream?
Okay, welcome to the Built by Vitality podcast. I am Steve Pinkerton, sitting next to
Nate.
Philip Lewis, and we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do.
Who is it?
Nate Lambert.
Nate Lambert. Before we get into the podcast on being the best hype man in the game, let's let Nate walk this thing back, because I think it's hard sometimes because Nate's been here for so long. You forget how he got involved in this.
Are you talking about me or Agnew?
You.
Okay, cool.
You. Yep. I mean, because look, you've been here how long?
I started my senior year of high school, so I've actually been here 7 years now.
So 7 years. I mean, we joke around about Agnew because he's been here for like 11 and a half.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about 7+ years. That's a long time.
Still a long
I mean,
time,
that's
yeah.
a really long. In the fitness world, in most gyms, 7 years, that's the OG. Ain't nobody more than that. But it just happens at Vitality. Sometimes you forget how long Lambert's been around. So give us the backstory. Who is Nate Lambert? How did you get in Vitality? And this head of hair. Look at the head of hair he's got.
Sexy.
I mean,
Takes a lot
he
of
did.
Like
He
Johnny
did make a
Bravo.
comment. He did make a comment.
You know that thing?
What?
The cartoon Johnny Bravo.
No.
You don't know about
You
Johnny
know-
Bravo?
No.
I'm
He's
really
straight up
I'm
Johnny
really sorry
Bravo,
for you.
man.
But
Google Johnny Bravo. I'll put it on the screen.
wow,
Thanks.
You're really doing
Thanks.
that to him like that.
What happened
I'll
here?
pull in a little bit. Yeah, it sounds like me and you are not even in here.
What's going on?
It's okay.
It's just we're looking for.
That's what it is. I always put it on 6s. Steve likes to put me down to a 4.
Oh,
So now you can hear it.
Right.
There we go.
Gotta cancel him out. All right.
So for me, whenever I got in touch with Vitality through Agnew, but we knew that Steve and Jess ran the best facility in the area, and at the time I was competing on the world level in sport karate, and was looking to increase my fitness. And Dad and I started doing CrossFit workouts from main site at the old West Cabarrus YMCA, and from there we wanted to find a way for me to be under a little bit more care and be under a little bit more, not even supervision, but under a little bit more tutelage from somebody like Steve. And so that's how I got in touch with them. And then obviously my passion for fitness grew from there. And my relationship with Steve and with Vitality and everybody there really started under an internship that I had my senior year of high school. I was taking an entrepreneurship class, and we had an opportunity to add on a nice little internship with that. So for 6 months, I shadowed Steve 730 and retaped the bars. Those good old days of the tape on the bars.
Oh man.
I didn't have to clean any toilets, but I did retape the bars. Walked through programming stuff with Steve, and he put me through a lot of the little things that I still carry with me in programming and in remembering how this stuff does not have to be very complicated for it to be effective. Compliance is the science at the end of the day, and that were some of the lessons that I got very early on, diving into things like programming and diving into how you manage a business of this scale, even back when it was just off of West Winds Boulevard, like we're 26 acres now. Learning the lessons of just, are you out of lead?
Yeah, I was going to take
If
some.
y'all hear that clicking noise and you're just
We're
listening,
good.
I'm sorry.
Now continue. I just want to make sure I didn't lose this train of thought with you.
Yeah, and a fun little story about the internship that I think Steve may really not be aware of, and most of you won't be either.
When someone starts that, I can start like playing through all the snares
Right.
in my head, and I have no
Yeah,
idea where he's
I have
going.
no idea where I'm going. So I finished my internship. I'm like, oh man, this is really great. Steve and I kind of wrap this thing up, and I'm like, maybe he wants me to stay on and coach a little bit. Maybe he's going to offer me a job. That was not a part of Steve's plan. Steve had no interest in hiring me.
I knew that.
A month or two later, I come back. I'm like, hey, coach, are you guys going to train today in the afternoon like you normally do? I want to come in, throw down with you guys. I come in, and Steve goes, hey, Nate, I want to introduce you to Brent. He's our new coach here. And I'm like, so this guy's in his 30s, one kid, maybe one on the way. Timeline's a little shaky. But I was like, it really just took me down a little bit. It really took some of my fire away. And so every time every time I go back to that place, I remember, man, 6 months of real hard work, just working for knowledge, not working for money. And Steve really has no incentive to keep me on board.
But look what it turned you into. You know?
And it's the truth. And to kind of piggyback on that point, like, I'm really thankful for the opportunities that I've had in the past and even now to work for knowledge, and it not necessarily being all about, okay, yeah, let's make some money off this. Let's really fill up this bank account and get some cash in it. No, let's work for knowledge and see how we can develop ourselves and become better down the road. But
I think it's tough to remember back for me how young everybody was when I got them, and
yeah,
I was so naive in thinking that the supply of quality coaches was everywhere, and you could just reach out and grab whoever you wanted whenever you wanted. And I was spoiled because if you think about the type of coaches that I had when I first started, it was, the Crowders of the world.
Yeah.
It was Jason Beatty's of the world, who were very knowledgeable. And then you started getting into Agnew's, and you had Brent, and then Lambert. And before you know it, you're like, you get spoiled in that, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be. And now you fast forward 12 years later, by far the biggest hurdle of any gym owner is, can you find a quality coach that truly gets it and that can fit in? And that's a very, very difficult thing to do. I just got really lucky in that. And if I would have known, obviously you could say it's about anything. If you could see the future and see what our coaches have evolved into, what Nate has evolved into, you'd be like, man, I'll absolutely give you a job. But at the time, you're like, okay, well, I really don't need someone right now, so I'll just wait till I need him.
Yeah.
And that is no longer the case as this market, the fitness market, continues to get saturated.
And I think one of the things, kind of to piggyback on what you said, we are so fortunate to have the team that we do, to have the facility that we do. And whenever we kind of get out of the Vitality bubble, it's pleasant to be reminded what it's like elsewhere. And I'm not knocking it. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's not bad elsewhere. It's just very different. And we come to realize, like you said, how the team has really grown, how the facility has really grown, the way we do business, the way things run, our operations, the way we communicate. It is something that I am so thankful for that I got to be a part of, to really see this thing go from stripping bars, being able to name a handful of coaches on one hand, to now this huge team that we have, and especially having more people to call on.
Yeah.
Being able to really operate like a team.
And I think that what we can dive into this is, when I introduced this, I said, hey, we're going to talk about being the best hype man. And I think what people recognize Lambert for is a couple different things. But one of those is, it doesn't matter where you are, where Lambert is, what he's doing, and you're going to hear Lambert yell from across the gym at one person in your class, or you'll be doing the workout, and I'll be with like 3 people doing the workout with some of the coaches.
Yeah.
And Lambert's yelling at someone I'm doing the workout with, like, cheering him on.
Because
Lambert would be in the
doesn't
pain
need the
cave.
encouragement.
No, Steve does
need
not.
it.
No.
He doesn't need it.
Steve's going to give the other people encouragement once he's done 10 minutes before. And I hate it.
I don't know where that came from, as far as I never enjoyed people
Right.
yell.
No.
I could tell
I
he
don't know
got
what
mad
it
at
is.
me yesterday.
That doesn't
before
do
your
anything
lift.
for you.
Yeah. What happened?
Before your squat clean yesterday, I was like, hey, Steve, you got this, man. Just pick it
Yeah,
up.
you get mad.
Shoot your elbows through. His skin got tight.
said
He was
get
like, quit
mad?
talking to me. I was like, well, he doesn't like this. You know what? I'll just walk away.
I've just always been the person that, man, I feel like I need to be able to be disciplined enough to self-motivate myself without any external factors, which is, it's silly. I mean, of course, everybody likes to be cheered for, but anyway, I think that's it's just so funny, because in us coaches, we always laugh when we hear Lambert do that, because we've been hearing this for 7 years. Like, he'll be up on the catwalk in
Out
the
of
kitchen
nowhere.
with his rice in the microwave.
Yeah.
He'll hear bars drop, and he'll kind of peek out on the catwalk and start screaming at people.
Nice, Jawad. And I'm like, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, Lambert's
That's right.
up there.
All the way over.
And what that's done for Lambert over the years is it's built this relationship that is hard to establish. And that's what, I wrote down this, when you talk about complex programming and people, they overthink the programming side of it. And we'll get into to Nate's PT clients as well, because I think that's another part of the spider web that Nate's built, where because he's got this huge following of people that are just so trusting of what he's done, it's built his PT business in a way that very few others has. And it's because he's got the ability to be able to program very, very effectively and smart. But that's not why people come back to Nate. It's not because they think it's this amazing program. And if people think that, they're wrong. The idea behind being a really good trainer is establishing that relationship, having great communication, and building trust. Once you have that, the program is a program. It's no different than class. We see people that are like, oh, I don't like this workout. I don't care if you don't like the workout. The workout doesn't matter. Yeah. What matters is the intensity at which you complete the workout and how you attack it. You might not enjoy it, but guess what? Being fit sometimes isn't enjoyable. And that's where Nate's taken this and said, okay, you know what? I have the skill set to build a design, but that's not the priority for me. The priority is building the relationship and building the trust with that individual. And that's where you've got this thing unlocked.
And if I could chime in, when it comes to, you say, the people that are like, oh, I don't enjoy this workout, I don't like this workout. At the end of the day, this place exists for health. Not to come off brash, but I don't care if you don't enjoy the workout or attack the workout how it's supposed to be attacked. If you leave and your emotional health, your physiological health, your psychological health is improved, we have done our job.
And that's where the one-on-one becomes a little different than the group. And that's exactly the mindset behind. In a group class, you are looking for a program that's going to benefit the majority of people.
Yes.
Every walk of life, every fitness level. But when you get in the individual side of it, now it is the emotional, all of this stuff comes into play, where you can now design workouts. The more in touch you are with your client and what's going on with them, the more you can build a design that supports all of that.
Yes.
And when you can do that, and if you don't understand where your client is and what their emotional state is, then you can't do that really effectively. What is the process when you get a new client? How does that play out for you?
It's a really good question. For me, it all stems off of that relationship and the energy that we share together. Because for me, if I know that I can push my new client, Kiara, if I know that I can push her verbally, push her emotionally, then we can find the things that she naturally gravitates towards. Mm-hmm. For instance, yesterday when I was training her, she fell in love with pushing the prowler, doing sled sprints. And I can very easily verbally and emotionally motivate her. And because of that, she enjoyed the grind of, okay, this is very low skill. This is me just putting effort towards literally just moving something up and down the turf. So for me, when it comes to developing that connection first and then seeing kind of what path we take, obviously it orients around their goals as well. But it kind of does feed off of the energy that we have. Mm-hmm. If we can reach towards more high intensity CrossFit-esque things, and that's what they feed off of, I want to give them that. If it is, I enjoy having my rest, but I enjoy still lifting heavy weights, absolutely, we'll do some high intensity bodybuilding. And I think for me, it really just flows off of that initial connection, and me just kind of seeing what kind of feel I get from this person. Because I want to continue to foster their relationship, and that does take time. So I have no problem having my clients have some rest in their stuff so we can just sit and talk.
Yeah,
I enjoy that. It's one of my most favorite things about one-on-one stuff.
And we've always seen this when the level 1s came out and the level 2s, they talked about being a cheerleader. and they said, we don't want a cheerleader coach.
No.
I disagree in some ways with that, and Nate is almost the exact analogy I would use. He's able to motivate people in a way to build the relationship and build the trust, because here's the thing. If Nate doesn't get someone to build a relationship with, they're not going to stay compliant with the design. They're not going to they're not going to keep coming.
Exactly.
So when people say, "Hey, what's the best fitness?" The best fitness is the one you're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's speed walking down Poplar Tent. If you're going to do it every day, then do that.
I'll vote for that.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. But because if you're going to say, okay, EvoFit, I can only come 3 times a month, or I'll speed walk every day, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's what Nate does because he can build that relationship through being their biggest cheerleader, being their biggest fan. I'm back there in the pain cave on Mondays and Friday mornings. And I literally, I get out of bed in the morning and Scott cracks me up,
Shout
man.
out to Scott, man.
I get out of the bed in the morning, I brush my teeth, drink a big glass of water, and I'm in my truck, and I'm here 4 minutes after I wake up, and I'm ready to go, and I'm doing some GHDs. And I turn around because I hear Nate like, "Yes, Scott, yes." And I'm like, "Oh, I must be doing," and he's doing like skull crushers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man,
Big deal.
if you can get that excited about these different movements, there's not many people that can genuinely do that in a way that they truly mean it. And that's tough. It's
The
a
way
tough
he said
thing
it,
to do.
you thought you'd turn around and be doing bike sprints or something.
Yeah, I
He's
thought he
over
was
there.
PR in his back squat.
I thought he was, snatch 225, for a triple. And it was just, you start to understand the drive behind that, because, Nate knows that at 5:15 in the morning, there's going to be a level of intensity he's going to have to bring so that client starts to give it back. And that's where people miss the mark, is they forget that if they have a bad session with somebody, if that person doesn't do well, it's not really that person's fault. It's our fault as the trainer that we didn't recognize what we needed to do to be able to motivate them.
And one thing I'm hearing now, and it ties back to something that we talked about after we as a staff read through 12-Second Culture by Mike Metcalf and Sean Peets from Ganassi. The most basic level of something that we control, especially in a one-on-one encounter, is how much we care about that encounter. If I don't care about Scott, if I don't care about Peter and Kelly, I am not going to put my best effort forward. I'm not going to give them a good workout if I don't really care about them. I'm not going to give them the best workout that I can. And going back to that concept of control, I can't control what they eat outside of the gym. I can't control how much sleep they get. I can't even control the response to the stimulus of the workout that I give them. I can't control that. What I can control is how we interact and the relationship that we build. And if I can continue to foster that, like, I love how you're bringing up this point of trust. And that is the biggest thing that warms my heart and gets me emotional, thinking about the fact that my clients trust me that much. Even if they aren't getting results, they still trust me because we're in it together. And on that too, I think that trust becomes mutual, because another thing that I love about all my clients is that we are in the process together. I don't enjoy being the guy that has all the answers. I want to know what you think. I want to know, did you like how we did those skull crushers supersetted with those low cable rows, or would you rather do something different? Because they have answers too, and I want to find them because I care about them, and I care about how they feel about their training.
How much do you, when did the transition to social media? Because the other thing that Nate has really changed is how much he showcases his clients on social media. And that's a process that I think a lot of people don't leverage enough. And I'm curious when that transition took place, and then how much time you spend doing that on social media.
Kind of ironically, when the new year came around, I was wanting to find a way to, in a couple different areas, bolster up my PT and take it to another level. And for me, what that meant, I love the words you used. I wanted to showcase my people. And I think one of the most powerful things too about any sort of training is having a reference point. If I can pull up a video of Kelly Bailey, or if I can pull up a picture or a video of Kelly Bailey from when we started training and when we started training now, the things that she can do now are light years away from what she could do when we started. And then the body changes as well, the weight changes, the energy level, all these other factors that come with training. And when it comes to showcasing them, for me it's a point of pride because I'm so thankful for what they've done for me and the trust that they have given me. I want to return that by putting them in the spotlight because I am nothing without them. I cannot pay my mortgage. I cannot put food on my plate without those people trusting me because of the relationship that we've built. And so with the media, it's really fun. It gives me an outlet that I really enjoy because it gets me a little bit out of the fitness space and into the media and content space. And I love being able to film during our sessions. And one thing with it too, there is a little bit of an energy that shifts when they see me come down with the camera and they know, oh man, he's going to put me on Instagram today.
Oh, they'll try harder.
A little bit of that too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think the thing that's fun about that is it. I'm gonna find my words for this in a second. They try a little harder, but it makes them feel special. It makes them go, oh, he's gonna take a video of me and put that on Instagram. And even with the guys from like Ganassi that don't really need that kind of confidence boost, it gives them that little bit of fire.
Yeah.
And they're ready to come back.
That's what we noticed with Philip too, being able to get around and get all these different shots of people and videos of people.
Yes.
I think people deserve to be celebrated, and that is the one thing that it's always been a shortcoming for me from day one. I am not a celebrator, nurturer. I'm just not, and I'm so glad that, because me and Nate's personality are very different. It's just very different. You would not think that the two of us would mesh for 7 years and it would work. You are the same way. Like, I think you're in line with Nate. You're a little bit more emotionally responsible, connected to people than I am. And I think that being surrounded by people like that has been really good for me because I can't give those things. I can't do what Nate does. It wouldn't be who I am. And that is a limit that I've always had. And unless I surround myself, and this goes for any business, it does not matter whether it's fitness or any corporate America job. There are things that you are not good at, and you better figure that out, and you better find somebody else that you can bring onto your team that does that way better than you, and not be intimidated or turned off by that personality change, because the compliment that does for me now, it gives me the ability to reach people that I would never reach because my personality doesn't allow me to do that.
And so like in PT, me and Lambert would let our clients have a break and have some water. Like your PT client might not get that, I feel.
Yeah, like, when I work with Scott, for example.
I was literally just thinking.
I
remember, yeah.
He looks at other people doing their PT and he's like, well, wait a second.
That looks fun.
That looks fun. Why aren't we having fun? I said, Scott, we'll have fun when you go on tour and you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
It's a different way to get there. But
some people like that though.
Some people, but not many.
Yeah.
Not many. Which is why, I don't have the time, and I don't enjoy it as much as you guys do. But there's just not the number of clients that would stick with me. I would have, if I took Nate's clientele, I would get them all for a week, and then 50% would never come back to see me again.
Love you guys.
So
now a question for you: when you talk about the personality differences in these past, is it 11? 11 years.
This is the 12th year.
12th year.
Yep.
Do you find that the people to supplement your weaknesses have been drawn to this place? Or are you finding more people that have been more drawn to the same characteristics that you hold and kind of mirroring you?
I think they've been drawn to the opportunity, and then they don't realize how different maybe we all are or I am until they get into it. Because if you think about it, I'm trying to think of who has the closest personality to me. I think everybody that works here is almost the opposite of how I... Agnew, yeah. And I got him when he was in his formative years. So I pulled him down.
There's
you
some
know,
molding there.
But the majority of people, you know, I mean, look at perfect example. Look at our two newest coaches, James and Ileana. I don't think you can find two people that are more different than me.
Right.
Ileana is that person that she smiles more in a day than I'll smile in a year. I need that. And
That's really sad.
really sad. I mean, I smile, but not as much as Ileana.
That's true.
I mean, you can't walk into a room and see Ileana and not immediately be happy. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it, but it just makes me smile. So I think those are important pieces of it to find those people that do the things that you don't do well.
Supplement you.
And we've found that. And I think that's one of the reasons why Nate's been successful. And then he pulls this social media piece in. And I think the thing that is interesting with Nate is every maybe 12 to 18 months, there's a little transition that happens. There's a layer that gets added. And you can see the PT business start to increase where he's a student of the game where he's always trying to figure out how to get smarter, how to learn more, how to be able to be a better coach, to deliver a better product. And that's one piece of it. Then you've got the social media piece. Then you've got his organizational piece. I think when you look at organization, I think that's come a long way in the last 7 years.
Oh, it's been nuts.
You know,
the one thing for me was the daily objectives. I use my full focus planner, and I thoroughly enjoy at the end of a week sitting down and writing down my wins and then dumping everything for the week into one big list, and then day by day chip away at it. And especially now with increased responsibility comes increased responsibility. I have to be on top of my stuff. I have to, because if I can't be on top of that stuff, I can't deliver the product that I want to deliver. I can't develop the relationships I want to develop. I can't keep food on my plate. I can't keep my momentum.
And you look at it, and I when you spend 7 years with somebody, it's hard sometimes because you default to what you see the most of. And with Nate, I always think of, man, this guy has got more PT than he knows what to do with. He's figured out how to schedule his time. He figures out how to deliver and keep people, his retentions through the roof, because once people get their claws in Lambert, they don't want to let go. They just don't. There's something about Lambert that once they get involved with him, they can't let it go.
And I don't want to let go either.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think can't be lost inside of this is when we have the mentality of, I work with a person for a month and then they're gone and I believe they're never coming back. What did I do? What did I physically do? What did I emotionally do to make that happen? I want to keep you. I want to see you through. I want to take you from where you are now to where we are 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now and see how we can go through that together and where we end up. Because I want to be just as much a part of the process as you are experiencing it. And I think the thing for me, too, that I love so much about all this stuff is that we're doing it together. I don't ever want to try to look at it as, yeah, that's what I did. No, I want to celebrate the work that you put in. I'm just going to try to provide the best environment and the best guiding. The banks, I'm going to give you the best banks of the river that I can to see where we end up downstream.
All right, so the next, as we kind of close this out, I want to get into how important it is if in the fitness industry you want to make a living, if that's what you want to do, you cannot do it. I will argue you cannot do it unless you can build relationships and you can have some individual clients, some one-on-one clients. That's why we've had the longevity in our coaches, is because I can provide the resources to get Nate 16 to 24 sessions a week of PT. And I will put our PT numbers against any gym in the country. Sure, someone's doing it better.
Put Amy's
Maybe.
numbers against any gym in the country.
I mean, we've probably got 3 to 4 coaches that are doing close to 80 plus PT sessions a month. I mean, that is ridiculous. But if you don't love what you do, you will not last. And if you don't, and I think one question I've got for Nate is, over the years, as you've went through the PT procedures, have you found yourself getting rid of clients that you don't enjoy training, or do you take those as, hey, I'm gonna do my best? Obviously, you're gonna do your best, but will you? What's the process? Because we've all had a
You've
client
asked
we
me
didn't
this
like.
question before, and we've talked about this a lot in group meetings.
Yep.
How we approach this. I think this question ties hand in hand to a little bit of the personal development journey that I've been on. In adapting a growth mindset, in the sense of, okay, this person steps in and wants to do PT with me. I am not excited about it. I have no idea what I'm going to do in this situation. Do I see this as an opportunity to choose my easy way out and find a way to offboard, find the way to offboard this client into EvoFit or to another trainer, or do I accept this challenge and find out what opportunity for growth exists in this exact encounter? And for me, there is no procedure. If there is no procedure for me to offload, for me to let somebody go, for me to say, I don't have room in my schedule for you. One of the things my clients have heard me say to them countless occasions is, hey, if you look at my availability and something's not there, tell me. If the time is not in my availability that works for you, let me know. And we can find a way to make it work. And then to go back to kind of the overarching theme, if that person took the step to reach out to me and ask me to help them, and my first move is to take a step back and close the door, what kind of person does that make me? Like, forget what kind of trainer that makes me. Like, what kind of person does that make me? Hey, I'm confident enough to reach out and book a session with you. I'm not really feeling it. I'd rather you work with Spencer. No, that's not how this works. And I love what I do so much that I want every opportunity I get to, and it sounds so goofy to say it this way, I love what I do so much that I want every opportunity I can to spread that love to the people that want to experience what I experience when I get to work with them. It is the most fulfilling thing in the world to have somebody come to you and ask you for help and trust you with that, and then to take that responsibility. Because I would consider myself a coward. I would consider myself a total failure if I turn people away. And obviously there comes limitations with that, especially as life progresses. You get married, you buy a house, you have responsibilities. You have to protect your time. But if they're taking the first step, then I want to take a step with them.
I think it's also the most fulfilling when you find yourself with a challenge and
I had to say it.
I hear it all the time.
Really?
I'm used to it.
Yeah, you have been saying it a lot.
Challenge.
That's for all you guys at home.
That's CHILL.
Challenge.
I hear it more with an E, like a
Or chillin'.
challenge.
Challenge.
But the challenge in
I feel a little bit attacked about
I'm
my
sorry. I
like
northern Yankee
I like it.
background.
I like it.
I'm very sensitive.
Top guy.
You know, when I was in the Marine Corps, I used to love. I'd inherit Marines from different units that they were coined as that problem child. They were the one that, hey, look out for this guy, and it was usually a junior Marine, a PFC or a Lance Corporal or somebody that had a couple bad breaks. And I found myself gravitating towards those individuals in the same way if you get somebody that maybe doesn't open up as quick, that maybe is you in your mind, you're like, man, he just doesn't want to be here.
not getting anything from this guy.
And the same thing, but what I found was as soon as he realized that I truly cared and that I really did want to help him, man, when he does open up and when he does make some changes and does some amazing things, I could care less that it was me that got him to do that. I was so happy that other people could see the type of person he was, the type of Marine that he was. And I think that's how, if we approach that in any job, but especially one that you're dealing that one-on-one relationship, if you assume what they're thinking, if you're like, man, they must not like me, or they must, all of a sudden now, what are we? We can read minds?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If we could read minds, life would be different, because all of us that are married, you included, we wouldn't be finding ourselves in 10 times as trouble that we're in, because we'd be like, oh, well, I know exactly what's going on. Trust me, we can't read minds. Yeah. So, that's the one thing I would caution everybody to stop doing, is when someone isn't giving you the response that you want, do not even attempt to think what they're going through. You have to then work a little bit harder to peel back those layers and figure out what it is.
Exactly.
And then how rewarding is it that they do open up and they blossom?
Help me help you.
Yep.
And that's what I love too. I love, like, to go back to about my clients being a part of the process. I love that communication.
Yeah.
I love being able to bring them in, and for instance, you have somebody like Kelly Bailey that's like, hey, I want to start running more. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, man, we're on this muscle gaining track. We're trying to really focus on resistance training. And I'm like, nope, you know what? Yep, we're going to start running.
Yep.
And we'll do some running in. And then to go back to you talking about, man, I'm not getting anything from this guy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in their head. And it's so fulfilling to see them at the end of that road. That's Cassandra for me right now. Cassandra started doing PT with Michelle Enfinger, and they just wanted to get some barbell stuff in. Mm-hmm. And now Cassandra's like, yeah, I'm ready to go to CrossFit.
Yeah.
And it's like, watching your kid graduate high school, and you're like, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's so fulfilling to see how those months of investment and collaboration with that person can get them to a place that maybe they didn't even see themselves getting to.
And I think what people need to understand and realize is this is not a process that happens overnight. It's not a process. I mean, you're talking years of figuring this out, of making mistakes, of designing programs, of figuring out how do I build what is the best way to build a relationship. And that's what, not to get in a complete tangent, but that's my fear of what we're facing now in this young generation, is they're not getting this face-to-face interaction, being able to understand how to deal with these situations. They're doing everything through tablets and phones, and they're not getting that. They're not able to read people's feedback. They're not able to read people's emotional responses.
And there was something I heard on another podcast I listened to by Logan Gilbrick out in California. He quoted Brene Brown, and Brene Brown said, if you don't have vulnerability, you don't have creativity. If you don't have any resilience to failure, you have no innovation. And I think what you said about the commitment to the process, we have to find out what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You have to find out where you really screwed up. You have to find out when Steve wakes you up at 5:15 with a phone call being like, hey, where you're at, you're supposed to be coaching. You have to go through that.
Yep.
And whether that be on the coach's side of things or the athlete side of things, if I can't be vulnerable with you, if we can't be vulnerable with each other, we're not going to be able to create the best path for you. If we can't be vulnerable with our own weaknesses in business, we cannot even attempt to create something. And if it fails, we can't innovate. We won't know how to innovate past that point. Mm-hmm. And that just shook me. It was something like I've never thought about vulnerability and creativity being on the same spectrum.
Yeah.
But that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is that we have to understand this is a process. There will be failure. I have to be vulnerable with where I'm weak so I can create something.
And self-awareness is a big part of that. You've got to be aware enough to know that, hey, I've got to work really hard at this for me. I have to work really hard and be more supportive of people and celebrate the small victories. And my wife will tell you I'm extremely bad at this. But I've got 2 kids that I can figure this out. And unfortunately, Reagan's 13 now, and I'm really behind. Charlie, I've got a little better chance. I got 6 more years before I can start to figure this out.
Doing a great job.
It's just one of those things where if you don't recognize where your shortcomings are, then you're not going to be able to apply this. And like Nate said, you're going to screw this up. And I think that the difference is when you screw up, it's very simple to say, man, this isn't just what I'm not cut out for this. I'm not, or you can say, hey, you know what? Next time I'm going to do this, this, and this. And Nate, tracking this stuff and writing things down, that's the way that we do this. That's the way that, we've got to be able to measure the process. And if we don't measure that, we can't ever look back and see, are we improving or not? So, I think for anyone that is truly wanting to build a brand of just solid PT, I mean, Lambert's the guy. Follow him on Instagram. See what he's doing. Watch the way he interacts. And again, we take it for granted because we've seen it for year after year after year. What we need to understand is, what if we looked at this from someone that's been at the gym for 3 weeks? Let's say brand new Philip just got here, moved to the area, and he sees Lambert interacting with like everybody, yelling at you. You're doing deadlifts, and you're like, man, no one. I suck at this, whatever.
You're coaching my class, but he yells at me, "Good job, Philip!" And he's over in the paint. I'm like,
you're like, oh man, okay,
guy?
maybe I am doing good.
Yeah.
And it's easy to twist this and look at the wrong angle. The angle is, man, people want to be encouraged, and that's what Nate is known for. And that's why he's got this diehard group of people that train with him. So lessons that you can learn are endless. And reach out and talk to people, find someone that's doing it better than you. And we need to stop being so scared to ask for help.
Yes.
It doesn't show a weakness.
It doesn't.
I used to talk to gym owners all the time. Did I listen to a lot of them? Probably not, because I was stubborn, but I reached out all the time and said, hey, how are you guys doing this? Yeah. And we'd talk about it and be like, oh, that's a good idea. And I'd steal it. I mean, it's not stealing.
We're sharing it.
Why are we reinventing the wheel?
Right.
Someone is doing this. Someone's figured out. Someone's making a living off of PT, or in the fitness world. So find out what he's doing right, and what we can learn. So I think this is great. I appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you, guys.
And maybe there'll be a part 2 for this. And we can follow on with some of these lessons learned, and maybe actually dial into what those lessons are that he's learned. But for now, I think this is a great start for people to take with them on their journey. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Shout out to all the people in the Chain Gang.
Bands. And that's, hey, when you see Nate and it's like, we're doing butts and guns and chains and bangs and
Wow,
I'm
chains
like,
and bangs.
That's different.
we have no idea what it's just. Nate's always got something going on, and he's got this. He's got his group that he's putting polls up. He's voting. I mean, it's too much, man. I love it.
And at the end of the day, like if I could offer a closing thought, I think at the end of the day, regardless of what business you may be in, I'm in the fitness business. But at the end of the day, I think a big perspective shift that happened for me was something that my dad said for years and years and years. Dad works in the lumber industry, but Dad's not in the lumber business. He's in the people business. Mm-hmm. It's about the people.
People.
Regardless of whether it's the people you work with or the people that you are trying I don't want to say make money off of, but the people that you work for. It is about people. Without them, we're not anything.
Mm-hmm. Close us out on how many carbs are you eating today?
Okay. Oh, right.
Where are we at?
Do we actually want numbers?
I just want the total number that you're going to consume today, carbohydrates.
I'll run you from top to bottom. Macros, daily basis. Protein, at the most, 235 grams.
Nice.
Carbohydrates, more than 560 grams of carbohydrates. That's good. And grams of fat below 115.
Okay. 560 grams plus
at a min,
of carbohydrates.
At a min.
That's what we call gains.
Yeah.
All right, Nate. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, guys.